everybody, Katie here, and I'm really excited about doing this video today because today I'm going to be talking about my literacy bag. The one that I'm going to be showing you today is based on the book Corduroy, so you can see. It's a pretty popular children. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's very easy to understand, great message, kids love it. So the point of literacy bags is to support and enhance parental support and try to get parents more involved with the child's learning progress. Each student would have their own individual kind, so it's great for differentiated instruction, especially if you're teaching in an inclusive classroom, which I know probably the majority of teachers nowadays are. So each student would get their own literacy bag based on their own book at their own level. Inside would have instructions for the parents on what to do. You can see it on the inside. It's pretty big. Okay, in here I have a folder with all the instructions, all of the tasks. Oh, and I will list the Florida standards below. So here are the instructions for the parent. I will probably be condensing these because it is pretty big and I really wanted to make sure that I had a lot of detail in here. So it just goes step by step, all the instructions on what each task does and what the parent is supposed to do and what is expected of their child. And then the first thing that I have here is a vocabulary task. This is prior to reading out loud. And I created a game called Vocabulary Cubes. And what I did was provided the student with 10 flashcards right here. There we go. 10 flashcards of vocabulary words that may be a little difficult or unfamiliar to them that they're going to be seeing in the book. And on the back of the flashcards are the definitions. The parents are asked to go over these flashcards with the student. They don't have to know the exact definition, however they should be able to make a connection to another word, act it out, describe it, stuff like that. And then once the student is comfortable with 6 of the words, they get to choose 6 of their own words or the ones that they're more comfortable with. And I've created this right here, this little worksheet, which describes how the game is supposed to go. The student, in order to enhance the writing portion of it, as well as for vocabulary, I have the students spell out the words, 6 of the words here, and then on the bottom, it involves dice. And I have provided dice for them in the folder right there. You can see it. And they would roll the dice, and then whatever number it lands on, they're asked to do a task pertaining to that vocabulary word. So number 1 says, make a connection to another word. So if the word is sew, maybe they can say knitting, crocheting, stuff like that. So they're able to make a connection to another word. Number 2 says, give your definition of another word. 3, draw the word. 4, act it out. 5, find a rhyming word. And 6, use the word in a sentence. Number 4 is fun, act it out. It's a really great game that definitely focuses on all types of learners. It's really good for kinesthetic learners. It's a great game for oral learners, visual learners, the whole 9 yards. So it's great for all types of learners, which is really what we're focusing on here. Next, they would read the book. So the parent is asked to read the book Corduroy out loud to their child. I have the book right here. And I have prepared questions on the inside of the book with notes on them, or notes with questions on them. And the questions are pertaining to comprehension, be able to make predictions of what's going to happen, just to ensure that the student is understanding what's going on in the book. And one of the standards focuses on having the student be able to retell a story in their own words, remember or understand the sequence of events, be able to use key detail when explaining the story. So I have provided them with a story map, which I got on Pinterest on a website called Teachers Pay Teachers. You probably heard of it, and this was free. I just downloaded it and made 1,000 copies of it. And it asks for the title, the author, so they get to learn those vocabulary words as well. They ask for the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution of the story. So it really has students retell the story and make sure that they really understood it. They understand that there's a beginning, middle, and end, that each story has a problem and there's always the conflict and there's always a resolution for that. So students really get to practice that in a nice, simple way, and a very organized way as well. And then I have a little activity for them to do just to cool down and to just really enjoy the book of Corduroy. And so they get to color it in, and then they cut it, and then they glue it out. And then they can show that in class as well, which would be a lot of fun. And then next I have the summative assessment. Now keep in mind that there is a lot of formative assessment going on in this activity in the literacy bag. There's a lot of informal formative assessments, like the questions in the book, the asking for predictions, the flashcards. These are all sorts of assessments, so it's a really great way to really activate prior knowledge and have students and just check for understanding to just kind of make sure that the student is on track. So I created a fun little quiz for students to do. This is the quiz. Now, what parents are asked to do is, this is for the parent to hold, the quiz. They are going to be reading out loud the questions to the student, and then the student will be given this right here, this worksheet right here. And these are all the answers from A to J. I have all the answers out. So what the parent would do is read the question out loud, and then the student, I also provided in the literacy bag, this little top secret envelope that has an answer key to the quiz for the parents' use, and then buttons, which we all know is a key detail in Corduroy. So what the student would do is, when they would answer the question, instead of saying the answer out loud, they would just take a button and then place it on the correct response, and then the parent would have to check it after each question. Oh, and also, if the student does not get it correct, the student and the parent have to go back in the book and find out what the correct answer was, talk it over, maybe discuss why did you think it was that, did you get it confused with another event that happened in the story. So this is a really great way to make it more of a unique experience, not just to fill in the blank matching assessment. It's more of a kinesthetic, hands-on thing. Great for early elementary students. And then finally we have a writing task, which is probably going to be the most fun for the student to contribute to. I provide a giant envelope where the student is asked to write a letter to the main characters of the book, Corduroy and Lisa. And I have provided step-by-step instruction on how to write an official formal letter. I talk about the heading, the greeting, the body, and the closing, and you want to make sure to go over each task, something similar to each task in the literacy bag, in class as well, so that when the kids go home, it's not completely unfamiliar to them. The parents aren't, a little discouraged because maybe their student is struggling with understanding the instructions and what they're supposed to do. Maybe they don't know the vocabulary very well, and they're struggling with that. So make sure that you go over like similar tasks in class before they go home and do it themselves with their parents. So you want to make sure to go over in class on how to write an official letter. However, I did provide this in the literacy bag to ensure that the parents are providing accurate information to the student as well. So that's just like a little reminder. And then I provide a student with the paper where they are going to write their letter. And again, I got this on Pinterest. That took me to the Teachers Pay Teachers website, and I got it for free as well. That website is incredible. I get all of my resources for free on there. There was one time when I did pay, I think it was like $3, but it gives you great resources, which is super helpful for all teachers, especially teachers who are on a budget, who are probably the majority of us. Please like or subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know down below how the kids liked it.